everyone. I'm here with my two friends today, and we are going to be discussing culture, I guess more specifically Sri Lankan Tamil culture, and how it could influence our relationship with Jesus, and if it does. Um, I think it could be a sensitive topic, but I think it's something to go into. I think it's something that we can all, we're at an age where we could be like, that's something that did, well, I did anyway, struggle with, to know what was Jesus and what was our culture, because it was so like blended. But yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on this? What do you guys think about it?
I think especially I've been personally speaking for like 12 years. I've been going to like Tamil church. I think what I saw was Tamils tend to entwine their cultural belief with the Bible, or they pick and choose when they want to be cultural, when it pleases them, especially when it comes to like daughter and mum relationship. So I feel like during that time they choose, oh, we'll be cultural, but Jesus isn't really like that. You know, it's all about unity, and that's literally what Apostle Paul talks about. Like the whole Jews and Gentiles. But I feel like when you go to church, you don't really feel like everyone's a unity. I personally didn't feel like it in Tamil church.
But do you think, okay, so you highlighted Apostle Paul there, do you think, because he also did talk about roles for women and roles for men, so how is that different to what Tamil culture, for example, might try to say? Because I think even in the Bible, when, especially in the youth, if you talk about, oh, what's a woman's role and what's a man's role, they're immediately like, oh, you should be at home, that's your role. But that's not what the Bible says. That's not what it is. But how is what the Bible's saying different to what our culture says?
I mean, not to do with the roles and stuff, but in Tamil cultures, for example, it's like the girls have to be adukam, or they have to wear certain clothes, right? Like I can't walk in with ripped jeans and like crop top to church, you know. But if I did that in a white church, they might be like chilled about it. They'll still welcome me. But if I did that in a Tamil setting, I might not feel like I'm welcomed. I'll probably feel segregated from the community.
Yeah, I get you, because you're right. Culture is a problem, but it's not the culture, it's the people in the end of the day, because it's the people taking it too far. It's the people bringing it in unnecessarily in situations where culture shouldn't play a part. Yeah, like you should be able to walk into church however you want. Obviously not being a hindrance to anyone else, but you know, you can come in a skirt, you can come in jeans, you can come in a top, you can wear what you want and not be judged. I guess the whole point of people turning back from Tamil churches going to other churches is because, oh, they feel like they're getting judged, they feel like people are talking about them behind their backs, they talk, you know, all of that is what is pushing them away from God. We're pushing them away from their church. This is the issue, I guess.
So what do you think about then? So in Tamil culture, cultural speaking, like girls wear their first studs. But the minute you get seconds or thirds or tragus, they're like, oh, well, you know, you can't be doing that. And the Bible says no more piercings, you can't pierce your body. Same way goes tattoos. Same goes for like nose piercing. It's actually a cultural thing, nose piercing. It's the Tamil culture. But, you know, certain people are like, well, it's not according to what the Bible says. But if you look at it context-wise, even in the Bible, it doesn't really say like tattoos is a wrong thing. Personally, I don't think it is. But again, like go out there, read yourself, read the word, and you know, if it hinders your relationship with God, then you know that if it's affecting your relationship, then don't do it. Yeah, like your heart has to be in the right place. Do you know
I think Tamil people take laws way too serious, like not seriously, but they take it to 100% effect. Like, for example, where in the Bible it says that Jesus says that he didn't come to break the law, but he came to fulfill it, or something like that. He said something. So he is the law. Everything that he promotes is the law. What I think we need to take into account when you said things about piercings and tattoos and things, like we just talked about, it shouldn't be a stumbling block to anyone else. Like us doing something shouldn't hinder someone else's faith. And the problem with us is that the first thing our parents always say to us is, they are following your steps. That is the first pressure in the household. And then take it another step in church. Forget leadership, even if you are just a person, they'll be like, that is another thing. And just talking about it in a whole, like for example, you said you can come in jeans, you can come in dress. Like you said, it is the people. The people will talk to everyone but you about it.
Yeah.
You know, they won't come to you, they won't talk to you, but everyone will know about it.
Yeah.
And somehow it comes back to you and you're like, I had no idea that.
And that's what makes you uncomfortable. That's what makes you stop coming. And you know, if it's truly a problem to you, come and speak to me. You know, but in our culture, it's not like that either.
So, talking about church and clothes and things, I think we just need to be a generation that kind of has those conversations. Like, you know, I think all churches have their own ways of doing things, which is what I love, because it kind of, Jesus brings that kind of uniqueness to everyone. He made us all unique, right?
Yeah.
So each church, I think, has its own kind of way of doing things. And I think as they start coming, I don't think it should be done on the first day. I think maybe as they come, they could be like, okay, look, what do you feel comfortable with? This is what the church is like. Because I think if no one has that conversation, how are they going to know?
Yeah, it's also a way of you saying it, not putting it as a rule and a regulation
you're
or
just
a law.
talking.
You're just talking, like just suggesting and telling them why. Yeah. Saying it's a sign of respect. Or, you know.
That's, you know what? That's a good telling them why. Because a lot of our mums, I can guarantee you lot have been through this as well. Oh, why can't I do that? Because I said so.
Yeah, it's no actual reason.
That's it.
Yeah.
But this is the problem with us being young people. We want to know why. When you're younger, it's cute, but when you're older, it's arrogant. It's stubbornness. It's disrespectful. But it's just you genuinely wanting to know, why can't I do that? Especially, we all have brothers here. When your brother is allowed to do something, but you're not, why? Oh, because you're a girl. That's not enough.
What? Trigger.
It's true. So, why does our culture, or can our culture, hinder or make us take a step back from Jesus? Can that happen?
It could, but personally, I feel like it's all with your maturity and learning. Because when I first came in, there was no one telling me or what to wear, what to do. It was more me on my own, watching everyone else, learning on my own through the word, what's right, what's wrong. And it came down to, oh yeah, I need to dress this way because out of respect, because I'm here to serve someone mighty, someone glorious. So I'm here to give that respect through my clothes, but that's how I see it, that's how I portray it. So I've done that.
But you wouldn't ever go and tell someone you need to wear this,
No,
because you, from your own experience, you knew, oh, this is what I'm wearing out of this reason. So if anyone asked you, oh, why are you wearing a Punjabi? You have a reason.
Yeah.
It's not that you're following people.
No, it's not a rule book that I'm following. It's not a law that church told me that I need to wear a Punjabi on a Sunday. It's not that. It's more, it's because I want to do it. Or like, this is how I feel like I should worship God. Or like, this is how I feel more closer to Him. It's my choice. Basically, yeah.
So what about if I was all tatted up, and then if I come and say, oh, well, you know, I feel closer to God, but I feel like a lot of Tamils would look at me like, she's just a rowdy.
They would, but they wouldn't understand it, that's for sure. But this is the thing, and I think the church is still getting to know this. Just because your way of worshipping God, or your way, you might look very different to everyone else, just because you're looking that way doesn't mean that your relationship with God is any smaller than someone that comes to church every Sunday, reads their Bible every day, prays every day. But the thing is, you'll find in a lot of older generation, 100%, I think, and I don't want to blame, it's not a blame game here, that's not what we're trying to do, but it is the older generation, it is their mindset. And when people say, oh, it's our turn to break those kind of mindsets, those thoughts, if we're not in the church, how are we going to do that? It just means that the younger generation, so the generation that comes after us, is having to deal with the same cycle.
Yeah.
Because if we're not strong enough to be like, no, enough is enough. Sometimes it's difficult because why do we have to be the ones to do that? Why? Who chose us to do that? You know what I mean? But maybe that is what we're here to do.
But that's what I'm saying. Why is it like an old generation, new generation? For me, it's like if we're following Jesus, or the main teaching is love, right? And if we're following him 100%, then why is cultural things involved?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think what we need to remember is we're also, is it second generation Tamils? That's what I think it's called. Because our parents came from Sri Lanka, or they came from a different country to here, right, to settle down. So their roots are Sri Lankan. Our roots are not Sri Lankan. Our roots, everything that we know about Sri Lanka, everything we know about is often learnt from our parents. So when you're saying there shouldn't be an old generation, there shouldn't be a new generation, but I think that is in any culture. In English people, the old generation, they have, for example, they don't like tatted up people either. They would look at, if you went to a Church of England church all tatted up, they'd still look at you and be like, what is going on here? So I don't think it's a matter of culture. I think it's, again, people. It's them and their mindsets about the way they're looking at things.
I feel like this needs to be maybe spoken about in church. Like,
but this is the thing, is it even worth speaking about in church?
Yeah, I was just about to say, with Tamils, I feel like they're not open-minded to hear it.
Stubborn.
They're stubborn, exactly.
Yeah.
So they just think their way or no way.
But I think what we can do to change, what I think we can do, is not show that kind of emotion, that kind of boundary, that kind of rules to the generation coming after us.
Yeah.
We have to be the characters that they can grow up and be like, I love Jesus. It's not about culture. Yeah, we sing Tamil songs. Yeah, we wear Punjabis, but it's not about that. I can wear a dress and come into church. Like, for example, there are some new people who are doing ministry. We don't tell them to wear Punjabi. Whereas when I joined ministry, I was told I have to wear Punjabi. So it's changing. Small steps. Because if we take big steps, people can't handle that. But I think if we take small steps, it's more, okay, fine, you can do that. There are people who do ministry who don't need to wear a Punjabi anymore, which for me, that's a huge thing. Because that wasn't allowed when I first came into ministry. So, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't look at it as older generation, new generation. But I think being the younger generation, we have to be the change that you see in the world. See what I did there? Because I think even in Jesus' time, Jesus wasn't accepted because he was different, right? His ways were different. So I think we have to think of it as the burden that's on us, that we're not going to be accepted to the way we are because Jesus wasn't. So why are we expecting to be accepted?
Yeah, but Jesus taught us to love, though.
He did, but he still wasn't accepted in his own hometown.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, if you really know what Christianity and the whole idea of love is, you should be able to, regardless of what your background is, what your roots are. Like, I would welcome anyone.
So would I, and so would she. So would our youth. I think we would. But I think when it comes to the older generation, we can't expect them because they don't understand it that way. They don't understand it that way. They have mixed it in culture. You're right. They have. And it's too far in them to... They've changed in ways, small ways, which I can appreciate, and I think they will carry on changing. Like if you ask our pastor, if you ask him to do something, he will pray about it, and his usual answer is, yeah, fine, let's do it. Because he wants that next generation to thrive. That's what he wants. Yeah. But I don't think there's enough of that. You're right. It can't be just the pastor. It has to be the people around him being like, yeah, we can do this. But what do you think, Maggie? Do you think you can have culture and have a relationship with Christ? What do you think?
I personally feel like I can't. Just purely because some of our cultural stuff is way too... I don't know what the right word is, but it's too strict. That's what I can say. Like, they have rules. It just feels like Old Testament Pharisees behaviour.
It's the best way to put it.
Like, I feel like we should be following what Jesus said, the New Testament. Yeah, I'm not disregarding the whole Testament. I look at it like Old Testament. God, we're like the children. So that he was very strict with the laws. And as you grow into the New Testament, it's more about teaching. Jesus showed us how to love. He came down, looked at all of our sinners, and he taught us. So why can't we evolve just like that?
Okay, I have a question to throw back at you. In the Old Testament, the Israelites were given these laws, but time and time and time again, we see them disobeying God. We see them not following the laws. And then in the New Testament, Jesus comes, he fulfills the law, but we still see the Israelites reject him. So what works? Because you're right. There is Pharisee behavior, 100% there is. But in different, I think if we look at the people and we look at them individually instead of as a whole, there are little pieces of them that shine Jesus. Now, for example, when I look at my mum is a very strict Christian. That's how I would say it. She's a strict Christian. There are rules that she will follow. But in her praying is where I can see Jesus. So the way she prays every day. In some of the things she says, some of it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not going to argue with it because you know what? That's what she was brought up with. I'm not going to argue with that. Because if I'm brought up a certain way, that's the way I'm going to believe. And that's the way she was brought up. So I'm going to respect that. But I think, I think it just comes down to not trying to change what was in the past, but trying to change what's in the future. So what do we want to see? It's unfortunate that we don't see, or what, we didn't see what we would have liked to see.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should make that mistake of feeling sad about that, but instead using that to help the next generation. That's all I would be thinking about.
I think mainly it's about having an open communication without judgment. Like, I should be able to talk about anything, and I'm talking about anything. Do you know what I mean? It's one of the big topics I feel like it's not discussed in the Tamil culture is sex. It's just not something. It's even the word, like, I can't even say it in front of my parents. You know what I mean? Like, they'll look at me like, what are you talking about? And I'm like,
so when you know what? I'll be honest with you. I've never had that conversation with my parents. Like,
yeah, well, I
you know what I mean? All it is its reputation. Right?
Yeah,
that's what it's called. It's not the S word.
Yeah.
It's reputation.
What's the word?
Manam.
Oh, that's it.
Manam.
Yeah. But see, I don't look at it like that.
Yeah. Well, what would you do with your kids?
Well, I'll teach them what sex is. It's about soul ties, and it's something that you do with a partner that you care about, you love.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You don't dish it out.
Yeah.
I would teach them the right way, and I would teach them from very young. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a thing where, they're 18 legal age, so this is what they're kind of going through.
Do you understand why your parents didn't talk to you about it?
I feel like it's just looked upon like I think sex has a really bad connotation.
Yeah.
For Tamils, especially the older generation. That's why I feel like they don't talk about it. Even in like, say even like on a white movie we're putting on, they as soon as there's like a kissing scene, they're like, look away. Even I look away and I'm like, this is awkward.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But it's made to be.
Exactly.
Culturally.
So this is a thing that's out of church, right? We're talking about parents here, but why can't we give that same grace to people in church? Because you understand why your parents can't talk to you about that, because it's a bad connotation. Why can't we give that same grace to people at church? Because you said that when it comes to your children, you will do it differently. That's the way I'm seeing it at church, though.
But the thing is, we would do that. We would be talking in grace. We would be open about it.
We are talking about sex in church now, because we weren't talked about. I never was anyway at church. So we're changing that. We're talking about it with the younger youth, because it starts early as 14 now.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about it, and I said that strictly. I said, if we don't talk about it, the world will show them what to do. That's it. And then you can't be like, oh my goodness, you've done that. That's what the church is for. Like you said, judgment.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they've been doing this, that. But if the church isn't talking about it,
it's not even talking about it. It's not. You can't just mention it and be like, you can't do it. Talk about why not. Why can't you not do it, and why you don't follow other people's rules. Why we have certain ways, and like tell them why. Tell them right and wrong. Tell them the reasons. I think that's more important than just speaking about it, but like making sure like why you believe what you believe and why they should, follow your footsteps. All of that.
I wish there was an embarrassment around it, because when you're younger, you have so many questions. But you don't want to ask it because you're embarrassed. It's an environment of embarrassment, of being shy to talk about the things that actually matter. You know, we know not to lie. We know not to steal. We know not to murder. But what about the other things? Do not commit adultery. What does that mean? There's so many different forms of adultery. The only thing they'll talk about is sex. That's it. No, there's emotional cheating. It's not just physical. It can be emotional. Why aren't we talking about these things?
And not just because we're on this topic, not just talking about it like to us, but like I feel like it's not even spoken about like equally between our genders. So male and female is completely different. Like for female, if we do something within like, you know, something wrong in their eyes, but we get blamed and the men don't.
Oh yeah.
100%. Like that is how it's seen. Like, oh yeah, like it's shame on her. They forget what the man's done. Why is it like that? Does that need to be changed?
But I think, see, this is the thing though. I think the most beautiful thing about this whole thing is that when Mary of Magdalene, she was a prostitute.
Yeah.
But Jesus like got down to her level. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the thing. When it comes to culture, I think when everyone else is standing away, we should be the ones stepping in. We should be like, look, okay, it's fine. Whatever you've done in the past, that's fine. Don't do it anymore. That's what Jesus said. He said, your sins are forgiven. Don't do what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's all they need. That's all this culture. Our generation, that's all we need. Don't worry, you're fine. Why are they so scared to come back to church? They're scared about the judgment. Whereas it should be, no, come back. We'll love you no matter what.
Yeah.
You can go away, do whatever you... Not do whatever you want to do, but if that's what you were doing and you come back, I want them to know you can always come back. There's always a space for you here. You can always come back.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing to kind of build and send out as a message as a Tamil church.
Exactly.
Because we are a Tamil church.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just basically tackled most of the cultural topics within the Tamil churches. Got quite deep into some of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like our next step is to think about what can we do actively, productively in the church to bring this up in our church, or to speak about it in church, or like just the next steps. It doesn't have to be massive, but the next baby steps to make in Tamil church to kind of, you know, fulfill this.
So what do you guys think?